Hello, everyone. How are you? I just want to say a few words before we start talking about the energy of the eclipse. You know what? The mowers just started in the backyard, but I need to make the video right now. So it'll go away soon if you're hearing that. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it. I can hear it very loud for me. Yeah, so thanks for all of the birthday wishes. First of all, it just was a weird coincidence that I ended up doing the video on my birthday, but I appreciated all of your words, your kind wishes. Thank you. And I mentioned in the Instagram video that I made last week that today, tomorrow, we are Mars, who was ruling that November 4th new moon, is coming to the degree that the sun was that day and opposing Uranus in Taurus. That will finish on the 18th. So if you feel a little out of sorts, a lot of times people can get really feisty in this energy, or if you've been having a hard time sleeping, then that's what it is. So, but you know that so the degree of the new moon was 12 degrees of Scorpio. Pay attention to what points, like if you have houses that begin at 12 degrees, or planets, asteroids at the point at 12 degrees. All of the new moons that we will have from now through March 2nd, 2022, will be at 12 degrees. And in the universal chart for the eclipse on the 19th, the ascendant is 12 degrees of Sagittarius, which will be the new moon in Sagittarius that we have coming in December. So, very important to pay attention to what you have at 12 degrees. If you don't have your chart because you don't know your birth time, you can also look up the ephemeris for the date of birth, and that will tell you where the planets were at the time that you were born. You don't have to have the houses to look that up. You don't need the time of birth for that. Yeah, so I want to just share with all of you, for some reason, it just hasn't come to my mind that a lot of people in our community are dealing with cancer diagnosis. Right now, we had just a lot of people in the last like summer, fall that were diagnosed recently. In my family too, somebody was diagnosed with cancer. So I just want all of you to keep that in mind for everybody who's part of this community, that a lot of people are struggling with that right now. And I also wanted to just talk about Neptune in the last decan of Pisces, which we'll be contending with for the next 4 or 5 years. That can bring up a lot of illusion and a lot of, like Metatron is saying, mystery. It can also like tune us in, depending on where we're focused, to our intuition and, you know, what is for the greater good, even if, you know, humanity wide, it looks like there's a lot of suffering. It is ultimately for the evolution of humanity. But, you know, there can be, he's saying, also a lot of fairy tales in the air. I heard a tarot reader who I like the other day, who talks a lot about creating our own reality, then say that we're being controlled by reptilian aliens. Those two mind constructs, like they can't like work together. Either we're being controlled by an outside force, or we create our own reality. So important to stay focused. You know, when you hear things like that, it's like a hit with the intuition. I know a lot of you have asked me about things being said out there, and you're always right. You know, when it's, something sounds funny to you or like fictitious is what he's saying, then it most likely you're right. It is. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. I also want to talk about the nodes changing signs. So we measure the nodes. It's like the point between where the vibration, the energy of the sun and moon meet. So we do that, we measure it like on an average. That's called the mean node or the absolute. Exactly where it is. That's the true node. I use the true node. Like when you get a chart from me, you're seeing where the true node is. The mean node is usually a degree or two different, but I go with the true node. So if you've had a reading with me, that's what we spoke about. Um, but when we move into 2022, the true or the mean node will change signs. It will move from Sagittarius, Gemini, where we've had it for the past year and a half or so, into the Taurus Scorpio axis, where we're starting the eclipses now, this week in a few days. Usually the eclipses are with the nodes, but the nodes are still in the beginning degrees of those signs because the nodes move backwards. So, in other words, it's the south node that is right now in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is about truth, right, and freedom. When the south node is there, then we see a lot of mistruth or misinformation, false reality. He's saying anything that conflicts with hope. He's saying is a way to define that. And loss of freedom, right? We all have been, we've all experienced that one way or another during this cycle as the last 18, 19 months as the nodes have been in the signs of Sag and Gemini. And the North Node in Gemini is a lot about fated choices. Do we choose to look and see things from the highest perspective, or do we give in to our fears? Is the way that, and the illusion, okay? Because fear is an illusion. Really, it's true that the only thing that we have to fear is fear itself. Not a political statement. It's true. And so as they switch signs, the South Node will move into the highest, the 29th degree of Scorpio, which is dark. It's dark. If the North Node was there, then you could say, oh, it's the phoenix rising from the ashes. But this is going to be a journey inward, allowing the light to illuminate the shadows. But collectively, because the ruler of the node then will be Pluto in Capricorn, there hopefully will be a lot of secrets coming to light. Now, it could also translate that is a lot of abuse of power scenarios, and that could play out, in the collective and within each of us. Like, where are we giving away power, he's saying, or losing power, losing control. And so this is a good opportunity, especially when there is an eclipse, something is eclipsed out. So this is a good opportunity to eclipse out toxins. What was it that Vesta? Okay, so let's talk about the full moon eclipse then. So this is happening on the 19th for everyone, November 19th. In London, it will be 8:57 p.m. In Sydney, 7:57 p.m. and Chicago or Central Time, 2:57 a.m. So there we have it, 12. And Metatron is like bringing to my mind the fact that there are 12 on councils, like the Soul Family Council, the highest council, the Galactic Federation of Light Council that I channeled. And it's also a number of completion. It's like a complete number. And 1 and 2, of course, correlates with our individuality and then how we relate to others, how we partner, or how we, our connection with the aspect of us that loves us purely and unconditionally, our soul, the creator, however you want to say that. And also all of these new moons from November 4th through March 2nd are at 12 degrees. And the ascendant for this full moon eclipse. And it is a partial eclipse, but it's 97%. So it's pretty close to full. And then it's happening with the fixed star Algol, which is a lot about not like maintaining emotional like stability and not allowing our emotions to get the best of us. when Mars meets the node, the south node, he's going to move out of Scorpio and go into Sagittarius in the middle of December. That will probably show you, just like really since November 4th, and especially with this full moon on the 19th, we're going to each find out what it is that we will be focusing on, like for change, for evolution, for while the nodes are, going through Taurus and Scorpio. So, and that will be collectively as well. But this is, it has not, okay, so the full moon, it lasts like the time that the moon is covered or looks covered while the earth is passing between the sun and the moon. Uh, it will be about 6 hours. Now it depends on where you are in the world. In North America, we have a pretty good chance of seeing it, depending obviously on the weather. But it should have like a reddish kind of hue when that is going on, and it is the longest eclipse in 580 years, one of the longest this century. So, it's big. It's a big one. And especially because it's happening in Taurus, we have to factor in Uranus. What Uranus and Taurus also, okay, so yeah, it's about individual freedoms, individual rights, our values, what we place a value on, our resources, and depending on what's happening for you with Taurus, like where that falls in your chart, the house, and also what's going on with your Venus. It's going to be different for all of us. But collectively, Uranus is like what we all think, right? So it's like, what do we see is valuable about one another? Do we choose to just see all of the shadow playing out and becoming, he's saying, immersed in the illusion so that we can be like persuaded that it's hopeless out there? But that also will be reflected in money, in resources, in the markets. Just like our own feelings of self worth are reflected in our ability to generate resources, income, that will go on collectively as well. Like we have an influence collectively over what's going on with monetary value. So that's something that he was bringing up for me to mention in relation to the markets. Now, when Uranus moves into Gemini, that is the markets. So that could be when the collapse comes, but I wouldn't be surprised because the South Node in Scorpio and Pluto in Capricorn, if that might, be reflected in the banking system in the banks. So that's something just to keep in mind. Venus, who is ruling this full moon, is at a degree. She's at 12 degrees and change of Capricorn. When she moved into Capricorn, she's going to stay there until March 6th. So she's going to be in Capricorn for quite a long time. So in Capricorn, structure, that also relates to banking because it rules institutions, Capricorn, banking especially, and governments as well. And, individual rights and freedom because she's ruling Uranus. So, in other words, Saturn, once again, because he rules Capricorn, he is going to be the forerunner in what's happening with the full moon eclipse. But Venus is at a degree that is about being weighted down. It's the degree of the ox, like with everything on your shoulders, the burden. I know a lot of you have placements in your chart there because I've talked to you about that. And so because she is in a harmonious, like she's reaching out to Uranus at the same degree in another earth sign, that's a trine. So, and she is way out of bounds right now. I think she's about 28 degrees, or she will be at the full moon. She's been out of bounds since before she moved into Capricorn. So that gives her kind of like a renegade energy. Of course, Uranus is the renegade of the zodiac. So freedom might come to you in a way that is surprising. Or you could have just a change in monetary circumstances that takes you by surprise. There could also be a lot of revelations. Gabriel is the messenger. is parallel by declination with Black Moon Lilith, which is like our spidey sense. And so that's something to look out for as well. She's in Gemini, so she's giving out information. Um, and Venus the day before the 19th eclipse, so on the 18th of November, she will reach her degree of shadow. So she's gonna go. She'll move retrograde. Oh no, on the 18th, 19th, depending on where you are on the planet of December. But she's already going to be in shadow when we come to this full moon eclipse that she is ruling, and then she'll go direct on the 18th and 19th of January. But she will clear her shadow on the 20 okay no on the 29th of January. So she's in that harmonious trine with Uranus, right? Which means something of a change in resources, partnerships, um change of balance, like something that we do to bring more balance into our lives, to make sure that equal give and take is happening, that we're not just always putting out. When at the end of January, like 29th of January, she isn't going to come back to exactly trine Uranus, because he's going to be moving direct around the same time, like just before Venus goes direct. Uranus will go direct. But on January 29th, they're only going to be 13 minutes apart. 13 in numerology of 4 is Uranus. So definitely big stuff happening, especially when you have placements in Capricorn or Taurus. Changes, big changes happening. Not necessarily bad, just big changes. I can feel people feeling like, oh, when we get the Tower card, it doesn't always mean that some disaster is happening, but that is the energy, really, that we're talking about. So I want to mention too that on the 21st, 22nd, depending on where you are, the sun is going to move into Sagittarius. So it will feel sunnier. It will feel lighter. Okay, I know a lot of people really struggle with the Scorpio energy. The next eclipse. So what Metatron was talking about was doorways swinging open. Uranus is like, and Saturn, because Saturn, a lot of times Saturn we refer to as the gatekeeper. And Uranus is like the winds of change, right? The tornado that comes in. But this will lead to a lot of doorways opening. Something will go, but something else will come in. So between now and the middle of May 15th, 16th, depending on where you are, we'll have the next series of eclipses. So something is going to shift, going to change, especially if you have placements in Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, in the fixed signs. There's going to definitely be a shift. And he's adding Capricorn and people who have planets at the end of Cancer and Capricorn with that as well. During the eclipse, Vesta, Nessus, and Mercury are all parallel by declination. So really good time to detox, and also to make an investment in some new habit, but to just let toxicity go. Good time to clean your house, clean out the house, closets, anywhere he's saying that's stagnant, but also to do, sage, do some kind of ritual of cleansing. Okay, that's a really good idea with this eclipse energy. So this is what he wanted me to mention, that this is an invitation, this gateway that we're talking about with these eclipses over this next 6 months. It's an invitation to step outside the boundaries of life as you know it, the courage to face the winds of change, utilizing the sword to promote self-freedom. Being careful what we say to others is going to be part of that as well, that sword. Not making sure to, like I always say, that I used to, well, I still probably could, eviscerate people with my mouth. Be careful of that. Shocking words he's saying, being cognizant that we aren't complaining a lot. being present, being present in the moment brings focused intention, and that our angels and our ancestors are standing in the gap, and influencing the situation in a way. He's saying that promotes what is best for ourselves and all that is. It's about gaining individual power, shining our own inner light on our shadows, and that this is a great time. Now, I know it's not easy, some of us, with the weather that we're having right now, but to go out and play, meeting up with a friend. And he is talking about, again, that this is a good time to be releasing the vibration of sacrifice, giving up something, being careful of our choices in partners, who we spend time with, but being present in the moment, just observing what's going on the outside, or not, or just shutting out what's going on the outside. Yeah, so it's big. I mean, it's big. I'm sure you can feel it. Yeah, I'm late. My daughter is having seizures again. And it's hard, man. It's hard. I know everybody with planets in Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus, a lot of people going through it right now. And I'm, a Leo moon and Scorpio sun. So, of course, I'm in that. And my daughter is an Aquarius. So, yeah, but, we're going to talk more next month about what's going to happen with Jupiter returning to his traditional home of Pisces. When he gets back there, he barely made it in the last time that he was there. And he's talking about also letting go of the theory. He is calling it that you're the scapegoat, not being anyone's scapegoat any longer. I don't know who he's mentioning that for, but he wanted me to mention that. And that we're going to be contending with a lot of volatility. And so, from the outside. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to the holidays, celebrating the holidays for us in the United States, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, but maybe stick to the weather this year, because there's going to be cranky people out there. There just are. I mean, I've been cranky myself. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, but really, finding our anchor. Taurus we want to be very grounded, and Venus is the ruler of Taurus, going through an earth sign of Capricorn. She's very choosy with her partners when she's in Capricorn. She can be a little judgmental. A lot of Capricorn, they kind of get the Capricorn and Virgo, I guess, are the signs that we associate a lot with being judgmental. So watch that. But if judgment comes to you from another, just recognize that's their issue. You don't even need to address it. He is saying, politely nod and turn and walk away. Let people sit with it, figure out that they projected it onto you. Or if they're not that conscious, then who cares? He is saying, never mind, just letting it go. So, okay, everybody, sending you so much love and support. And I will talk to you all in a couple of weeks. Bye.